Welcome to the Section 2 Angles and Parallel Lines lesson for this unit. In the first unit, we covered these different kinds of angles: alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, corresponding. But they're not really very interesting until we add the element of parallel lines, and that's where they become a very, very powerful tool. So geometry is all about knowing and getting. It's about what you know and then what that information gives you and what you get. So in these situations, we are going to start with knowing the angles. We are going to know the angle relationships every time when we start. Knowing that angle relationship is going to give us certain things. And in this case, if you know the angles, it's going to give us the lines are parallel. So the summary of these first four is if you know the angle relationship, then you get the lines are parallel. So if you can say each of the different kinds of relationships are true, they're either equal or supplementary, then you can conclude in your next step of a proof that the lines are parallel. So let's look at this. If the alternate interior angles are equal, then the lines are parallel. So if you know alternate interior 3 and 5, so for example, you know angle 3 equals angle 5, then you can say your conclusion that this line is parallel to this line, that K is parallel to W, and this is your transversal creating those. And that is the same all the way down this list. If I know alternate exterior angles, angle 1 and angle 7, for example, if I know or am given that angle 1 is equal to angle 7, then I can conclude that, again, K is parallel to W. If I know same side interior angles are supplementary, so if I'm given, so another thing we might say is we might, in a given, another format, say that angle 4 plus angle 5 equal 180, what you can conclude then is that T is my transversal and K is parallel to W. And our last relationship, if I look at my transversal again, if I know corresponding angles are equal, so a pair of corresponding like 4 and 8, so I'm given angle 4 is equal to angle 8, then I can conclude that K is parallel to W. Now, there's a big caution right here, and it's an important one. Vertical angles and linear pairs do not prove that lines are parallel. Remember we said in the previous lesson, it takes 3 pairs of lines to prove parallel and to form these angle pairs. If you are talking about vertical angles here and here, you don't know anything about this line down here. Or if you're talking about a linear pair here and here, you don't know anything about that line down there. So vertical angles and linear pairs never prove anything about parallel lines. So don't fall into that pit trap. So let's look at some examples. What lines can you prove parallel based on the given information? Write none if no lines can be proven, and then give a reason. Give that what kind of angle pair are they. So this is all about looking at the picture and tracing the different angle relationships. So let's start with 16 and 1. So 16 is here and 1 is here. So what lines form those? Well, X, T, and it looks like K K is the transversal. So once I trace those in, I can ignore everything down here. Do I have alternate interior? Do I have alternate exterior? Do I have same side supplementary, or do I have corresponding? If I have one of those four angle relationships, and that they are equal, supplementary, or equal, then I can say the lines are parallel. So it's kind of like a four-choice multiple guess every time. So 16 and 1 are corresponding angles. They sit in the same position above and to the left. So this proves that X is parallel to T by corresponding angles being equal implies parallel lines. That's the reason. And then we erase all of our scribbles and we look at the next set and we look at the relationship each time as we go. So now we're looking at 14 and 9. So here's 14, here's 9. What lines are forming them? This line and this line. And it looks like X is my transversal. Now do 14 and 9 meet one of my angle pairs? Yes, they are both corresponding. So this proves that K is parallel to W by corresponding angles equal, implying parallel lines. So it's all relative to each one each time. What angles are forming them and what is the relationship? Next pair are 1 and 8. 1 and 8. So let's trace. That's formed by this angle or this line and this line. Here's my transversal. Those two are on the same side but outside. That doesn't meet any of my criteria. So those two being equal does not prove any lines parallel because it doesn't meet any of our criteria. Let's look at 4 and 10. So if we highlight angle 4 and angle 10, so that's formed by this line and that's formed by this line, and here's a giveaway. There's no transversal, there's no single line that I could draw. If I draw this line, this angle is formed, but this one isn't. I would need 4 lines to form those angles, and these relationships are all formed by 3 lines, and so this is also none because I don't have a single transversal and a pair of parallel lines. This would be a great place to pause the video, try the next 4 on your own, and then check back in. Continuing on, 3 and 5. 3 and 5 are formed by this and that one. Here's my transversal, and so clearly those are alternate interior, and so I've proven that K is parallel to W by alternate interior angles equal, implying parallel lines. The next set of angle pairs are 12 and 6, and when I trace what's forming 12 and 6, I have this one. My transversal appears to be here. The relationship, they are outside and opposite. So my pink lines, which are X and T, by what kind of angles are they? Alternate exterior angles, imply parallel. Now we're looking at some supplementary relationships. If I look at 14 and 10 adding up to 180, notice they're not equal, they just add up. What lines form them? Here and here. Here's my transversal. They're on the same side and inside, so K is parallel to W by same side supplementary, implying parallel. And our last example of this set is looking at 5 and 6. And when I draw the lines that make 5 and 6, I clearly see it only takes 2 lines to form those angles. these are a linear pair, and we know that linear pairs do not prove lines parallel. So one quick proof example here before the lesson is done. If I'm given that K is parallel to W and angle 2 equals angle 3, prove lines parallel. Well, what do I know? If I know this, I get angles are equal. If I know this, this might tell me something else about substitution or relationships. So we mark our picture, 2 equals 3. I want this, so I always like to mark it in yellow so I can see it. And then I know that these guys are parallel, so I'm going to clearly mark them parallel. So where do I start my proof? I always start with the given. K is parallel to W, and angle 2 is equal to angle 3. That's my given. Parallel lines give me equal angles. So if I look at angle 3 and angle 4, they're formed by these parallel lines right here. And so I can say that angle 3 plus angle 4 is equal to 180 degrees. And that's because parallel implies same side supplementary. If I know the lines are parallel, I get the equal angles. Once I've written that, I have 2 and 3, and I have a 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do a substitution and write that angle 2 plus angle 4 is equal to 180. And that is a substitution. And now when I can say that 2 and 4 are supplementary in relation to x and t, if this is my transversal, those are same side interior angles. And since I just said they're supplementary, now I can say that x is parallel to t. What reason? Because I know same side interior are supplementary, and that tells me the lines are parallel. Good luck with your homework.